Right.
What do you look for when you're looking at a crankshaft like this now?
We look for scoring. Very difficult to say how bad it is. Sometimes they can look very scored, but you measure them up and they're actually on, they're actually on in tolerance, on the manufacturer's tolerance sizes. And you can get away with just giving them a polish. We'll check them in V blocks once again for straightness, just in case it has had a trauma sometime in its life. On some, if it's going to be a race engine, we send them off to get them crack tested, just to make sure there's no hairline fractures around the radii of the webs across the back journal. Sometimes they go across there. Generally speaking, it's around the rear half of the crankshaft you end up with problems with breakage. But generally speaking, okay. If a bit a crank's been ground, 0.25, 0.5, generally speaking, we'll send it off and get it hardness checked as well. And just to make sure it has been rehardened after the grinding process, which Porsche recommend. Otherwise it just starts to damage the main bearings, and you'll have a bottom end failure in no time at all.
Yeah.
That's a tight
That
one.
one was dark, right?
Yeah.
So there's Loctite on there as well.
Yeah, these have been fitted with Loctite, which is, I mean, every engine builder's got their own ideas, but 25 years I've been building engines, I've never had to put Loctite on them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If a bolt comes loose, it's due to the fact it hasn't been tightened up correctly. Just manufacturer basically says, Porsche say, just a bit of oil underneath the head of the nut and on the threads, and that's it really. That's what we need to do. And those actually look in remarkably good condition as well. We'll have a look at the journals, we'll obviously measure everything up again. But I don't think it's done a lot of work. Standard size bearings again, which is good.
Yeah.
It's quite a rare one. Standard size 66 stroke crank in this good condition.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. I've just quoted a chap for one of those, and good second-hand units are about £1,000 now.
Gosh. Yeah.
Just because they're sort of few and far between.
And I suppose the crankcases, because they're sort of so difficult to manufacture, they're probably the most expensive to replace.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We do a lot of rebuilding of cases, repairs on cases, just to resurrect them, keep them going. For whatever reason, let's keep them as numbers matched cars. To be honest with you, we haven't been stumped by any cases ever. They've had holes in the side where rods have gone through and all sorts, and we can weld them up and repair them, and get them back into a very serviceable condition.
Yeah.
Bearing sizes to see how badly. I mean, the journal's look in reasonably good condition. There's a couple of marks on them, but nothing that won't polish out. We're just waiting to see, seeing if it's actually in manufacturer specification. And this is a very good one. We just run through all these, checking them all on two planes basically, across there and across there. As we're checking, we also check across the journal itself to see if there's any taper on it. Just double checking, making sure it's all nice and square across there. I mean, it looks like a good standard crankshaft on the main bearings so far, so we'll just measure up the big end bearings, which on the 66 stroke crank is exactly the same size as the main bearings on the big ends. So once again, just running across those, we'll just just make sure we are within size, make it standard to start with, and then just we'll run across the dimensional check. That's
This is the bit that really takes the time, really, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Once it's all apart.
That's right, yeah.
And it's not something that can be rushed, really.
Not really, no. Double checking everything all the time. And that's well within manufacturer spec as well. And we just fill everything out on a build sheet. So for reference going through, so the later date of the engine comes apart again, we can cross-reference back and find out exactly how bad the crank was, how good it was, what size journals it had on it. So you know, just covers you basically, and it's sort of good practice to do, because you know it's been done then, and the customer knows that it's all been machined and checked, and it's as it should be.
The only major issue we found so far is this oil scavenge union here, which is we've lost the boss at some point in the past. The flange has been broken off. It's probably when somebody came to undo the union, and it's just sheared off the magnesium case. But Nick Fulljames is that's a sort of his bread and butter, and he says that we can restore that quite effectively. And next time we show a film, we'll hopefully see the results of that restoration. Well, we've reached a point where we've got everything apart now, and it's we've measured everything up with the micrometers, and the engine rebuild now goes into a stage of washing and cleaning, and generally prepping for the rebuild. That obviously is a fairly boring thing to film, so we won't probably be showing too much of that, but hopefully we'll come back when we start the rebuild proper. But for now, that's where the engine is.